Hi everyone, welcome back to RC Pie. As you know, I've been pretty excited in the last few days because I had a couple of new cars come in. So one of them that we're going to have the first look at, well, the first drive today is the RGT Rescuer, whatever the number is, the 86190 or something. I don't know why RGT have to go with numbers so much. But yeah, took this out on the trails, took it out in the woods, and had an absolute blast with it. So I'll show you that footage and tell you a bit more whilst we're watching that. The only things that I can point out really are when I was doing my checks before going out, before running this for the first time, I found that the rear diff wasn't locking properly. So there was an issue there, so I took the cover off. I'll show you a couple of pictures of that and tell you what I did. This is inside the rear diff housing, and you can see between the two arrows there's a cable actuated cam which moves the crown gear in and out to lock and unlock the diff. The cable is pulled, so the crown gear is disengaged and the diff's unlocked. But here you can see the servo has released the cable, but that cam hasn't pushed the crown gear enough, so it's not locking the diff fully. And this is how I needed to get it, so that that cam is now fully pushing that crown gear into place so that the diff is completely locked. This is where the cable runs from the servo back to the rear diff. And the important bit is the distance between the screw that holds the housing there and the servo horn on the servo. So I needed to loosen that screw off, move the housing along a bit, just so when it's released, the cable is pushing back more into the diff. So other than that, pre-running, I couldn't really fault it, couldn't find anything really amiss. Everything seemed to be set up pretty well, fairly well lubed and so on. Everything seemed to be running, working properly. So we got it straight out on the trails. I think the only other thing that I did was put a bit of tape over the holes on the insides of the rims just to keep the water out, because of just how wet it's been. I knew we were going to get a bit wet. Took it out and, well, let's see how it ran. I think you can tell from me using this higher gear that I was pretty keen to get into the woods, but then switched over to that first gear, which I have to say is plenty fast enough. I mean, I walk pretty quickly and I'm not keeping up with it, even in that slower gear. I think I did use the lower gear for all the footage that you're going to see in this video, but if you want to see it in the higher gear, I'm going to put up some more footage so you'll be able to see what it's capable of speed-wise. Yep, that's me. I was quite lucky this time in that I didn't have to do the filming myself, so I managed to take turns and hopefully get some better footage because of that. You can see in these woods there's a lot of roots, and a lot of big roots, and a lot of twigs and branches and things that are really testing out the suspension when you're just trail running. But I've got to say, it coped admirably well. There's the odd one that gives it a bit of a jump when it's straight across, but other than that, no real issues. Now, as somebody might say, tumble wumble, and that was the first roll for this Rescuer. Never a nice moment with a new car. And you can probably tell I was avoiding the mud until a bit later on. Then I decided, what the heck, let's go for it. My thinking really when selecting the footage for this video was to try and give you a continuous run. So all of this is just as we came to it, just seeing how it coped with the mud, the logs, the rocks, any inclines or drops that we had to take in. And it really coped with everything remarkably well, including some pretty tricky sections that I've got stuck on with other cars. You'll see right at the top here that there's quite a strong drag brake with this car. So you've just got to be a little bit careful on steep descents that you're not releasing the throttle too much and just sending it into a bit of a nosedive and a skid. These big wheels and tyres were doing really well through all the leaf litter and over various bits of bumps, and you know, the overall traction, although they're not going to be absolute premium quality, they were pretty good. I couldn't really fault them. You know, up some fairly steep slopes on loose stuff, still hanging in there, doing pretty well. Getting the odd section where you've got to have another bite at it and use some wheel speed, but that's to be expected. And you can see here that the breakover angle, so you know what you can cope with between the front and the back wheels, is pretty good. Now it's not going to challenge, you know, a full-on rock crawler, but for a trail crawler, it's pretty good. It's pretty unstoppable. Very impressive. So as you could see, superb, absolutely superb. I'm struggling to find anything about this car that I don't like. You may have noticed that the mud flaps are no longer on. At one point during the day, I noticed that one of those was missing. Now they were soft rubber, but the issue was if you were coming back down a hill or reversing up a hill, they were pushing against the rear tyres, snagging, impeding your progress to the point where you either couldn't move or they've then popped off. So one disappeared. We were lucky to go back and find it. But other than that, no issues at all, no breakages, no hiccups, ran like a dream. It's absolutely superb. I can't fault it at all. It's just a fantastic car, and for that money, from what I've seen so far, you know, we'll keep you updated, but from what I've seen so far, I can't recommend it highly enough. So check out the link below. I'll show you where you can get hold of one of these. Get one. I really would say get one. It's superb, and I think that's going to be a real challenger to the big boys like Axial and the TRX4, of course, which it's clearly going up against with those portals and so on. Just a quick note on the transmitter, really nice. The only issue is the plasticky wheel, but other than that, really nice ergonomically. I'm not bothered about this switch for the lights. I'm not really bothered whether the lights are on or off, but that's great. That channel 3 button there is really nice for changing between your high and low gears, and these are your two diff lock buttons. They've got lights so that you can tell whether you've got your diffs engaged or disengaged. So nice unit. So overall, excellent, an excellent car. Get yourself one and keep watching to see what we do with ours. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell button as well, so you know when we're chucking something else on YouTube, and we'll hopefully see you soon. Thanks for watching.